6 years ago, the Honda Corporation decided to create a whole new sport. It took the three-wheel motorcycle known as an all-terrain vehicle, or ATV, which had been around since 1970 as a farm and utility vehicle, and spent tens of millions of dollars to market it as a plaything the whole family could use.
I was fooled, and I think intentionally so, by Honda. The ATC was sold as a family toy. What they ought to do is require them to put a big sticker right down on the gas tank where you can't miss it, with a big skull and crossbones in black.
Bam!
Hey guys, the market on trikes is coming back quite a bit because of nostalgia. All these older guys that thought these things were great back in the day, they want them back again. But there's only so many trikes out there. So a couple of companies in the States have started remanufacturing trikes. They're converting dirt bikes or converting 450 race quads. And sometimes they're even doing CR500s. Now, the theory of this is great. But the reason I made this video is because they want $20,000 for a CR500 trike that they've made. Now, that is outside of the reach of normal people. Your average person is not going to spend $20,000 building one of these. It's insane to think that. I appreciate what they're doing, and I'm sure what they've built is very good quality. It's going to have modern shocks, whereas this thing has 1985 suspension. And it's going to have, a lot of custom-built components on it. The CR500s they sell even have electric start. This doesn't have that. This is a kickstart. But this was built on a tight budget, and that was the goal. So I'm going to teach you guys how to build one of these on $3,000 instead of $20,000. That's $3,000 Canadian, by the way. So for you guys in the States, that's like $2,200. So the basics of this machine are the swing arm, the rims, the axle, the fenders, and the seat all belong to a 450R. 450Rs have aluminum swing arms, and the CR500 had an aluminum swing arm, so I had to mate the two to make it work. The older trikes and most of the older quads, a lot of them had steel swing arms, so you can't mate aluminum to steel. It's just a nightmare. Don't even waste your time. The parts machines for these things are laying around. 450Rs aren't particularly valuable, so the parts are out there. Next, the frame, the engine, the fuel tank, that's all, and the fairing plastics, that is CR500 from 1985. I paid $1,000 for the bike. I had to rebuild the engine, just the top end. And moving on, the handlebars, the front forks, the front fender, the front rim, the brake assembly, all of that is from a 1985 ATC 250R race trike. Now, is it possible to get around some of these problems? Let's say you can't find the front forks of a trike. Well, these companies that build these trikes, they sell individual components. They sell the parts to put a trike front end on another machine. It's very, very expensive. You're better off to try and source used old parts. I would rather rebearing old parts for $30 than spend several $1,000s on the components from them. They make good stuff. It's just very expensive. So here's another hurdle you have to jump. Dirt bikes kick backwards from trikes. This thing kicks backwards, which is an issue. So you have to make it tilt up. Not a big deal. It's a little bit of fabrication. I didn't have to heavily modify the pipe. I didn't have to heavily modify anything. It's running the factory airbox off the dirt bike. And the only thing I had to build was some brake parts. So as you can see, the subframe is the dirt bike subframe. All the way up to here and all the way up to there, just modified. It's been angle changed to take a trike seat or a quad seat, depending on how you want to look at it. And the exhaust had to be moved a little bit over to clear the frame where the seat mounts. And I had to fabricate some little supports. And you guys are going to complain and say that I didn't do a very good job painting. And why does the subframe not match the rest of the frame? And why is the frame orange and the trike red? Let's not get into the details of how low quality of work I do. All that matters is that this thing doesn't break in half. And I'm not a big jumper. I mostly like to hill climb, so it's not an issue for me. The welds are good on the swing arm. I'm not even remotely concerned about that. So you can see that's quad, that's bike, this was added in. And because these are mated like this, it actually acts as a 6-inch swing arm extension. So it's a bonus. It's longer by quite a bit than it would have been before, which if you know anything about a CR500, you're going to want it to be longer because this thing would be a wheelie machine otherwise, and it would be unrideable. Yeah, as you can see, I still have to put a kill switch on it. It doesn't even have one, but we'll get to that. So it runs pretty good. There's still some growing pains. I got a coolant leak I got to fix. There's a little bit of an exhaust leak that needs to be fixed, as you saw when I was revving it. But for the most part, this thing's done, and it's done for under $3,000. So I was into the front section for about 600 bucks, into the dirt bike for about 1,500 bucks, and then into the back half for only several $100s. So really, this thing was very, very inexpensive to build. You need some hands-on. There's some welding to be done. If you're not into lining up chains and sprockets, you might have to pay someone to do that. It's going to cost a little more if that's the case. But for the most part, this can be done really on the cheap. And I'm not trying to take anything away from those guys that spent, big money. But like I said, it's just unreal to think that one of us, a normal person, has $20,000 to spend building a trike like this. Like, it's just, you could buy 2 brand new race quads for the price of 1 trike. That's out of the realms of reality. And because you guys are going to ask about it, this is a 1986 250SX Honda, the Big Red's sport cousin. It's almost done. A couple electrical problems. I need to do front brakes. But if you're willing to put the work in, these things aren't that expensive. I paid 900 bucks for this thing, and it was a wreck. And I'll have pictures in here for you guys to see what it looked like when I bought it. And then this here is an ultra rare 1986 TR200 Fat Cat Honda. Same thing. I bought it for $400, rotting in a farmer's field. I had to do everything. Full of old gas, rotten, wheels wouldn't turn, tires didn't hold air. Plastic was all garbage. Seat was wrecked. I had to redo everything. I had to do a one-way bearing in the transmission. This stuff, it's not out of the reach of normal people. You don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. I built this machine for about $1,200, and it's worth $3,000 or $4,000 easy. So keep your head up. It's very doable. Even if someone stupid like I am can do this stuff, then anybody can do it. And don't kid yourself. I'm dumb. And I'd also like you guys to appreciate that I didn't make much outside video of me riding this thing. And it was because it's 30 degrees below zero right now, like 30 below zero. It is absolutely freezing. I was out there for 15 minutes just riding this thing around and testing it, and I was completely frozen. Not only that, this thing's not jetted to run at 30 below, so I don't want to push it too hard. But there'll be more to come. Like I'll get some better footage and everything once the snow leaves us and we can have some non-winter here.